Hi, and welcome to another show of Florida's Great Northwest. I'm Larry Sassano, the president of Florida's Great Northwest, and my special guest today is Greg Britton from Fort Walton Machining. Greg has been on the show before and is no stranger to the people of this area. We've got a lot to talk about today about our travels at marketing shows and some new chairmanship role that Greg has taken on. But as always, I'd like to just take a couple seconds just to talk about Florida's Great Northwest and our mission, to make it clear, what this 16-county region organization does. It's clearly a marketing organization. We're there to help and support the economic development organizations across this region, from Jefferson County to the east to Escambia County to the west. And we have great cooperation with our EDOs in providing support in recruiting companies and targeting some of the industries and helping them to be successful in creating jobs in all 16 counties. So with that, I'll get into Greg Britton. Greg, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Good to see you. We've been busy since we came back from the Paris Air Show, and I want to talk a little bit first about your CEO position with Fort Walton Machining and about the Fort Walton Machining. If I may, I have a little summary here I wanted to just read. And the Precision Machining and Metal Finishing Manufacturing Company, been in business since 1987. It's a women-owned small business, over 200 employees in Okaloosa County. Several noted performance achievements such as Boeing Supplier of the Year, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Supplier of the Year, and 2010 Lockheed sponsored Department of Defense mentored protege program. And you've got a great list of certifications from AS 9100, ISO 9001. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, you got a great company there that you're supporting, and tell us a little bit about what's going on right now in terms of your focus with Fort Walton Machining.
Well, the focus right now with Fort Walton Machining is diversification, as it has been with the defense and aerospace world being sequestration and all that stuff you hear. We got really worried about that, and we've been trying to diversify over the years. And we started in the oil industry, back in 2008, trying to break into that market. Did a pretty good job of getting into the market. Now we have 3 oil industry customers. It's probably about 30% of our business right now. So we've dropped that down, and then we got another 10% commercial, and then 60% aerospace and defense. We also had some further diversification with our metal finishing division, as you well know, been through. It's a fabulous facility. Yeah. Anybody that goes through it, it's a state-of-the-art facility.
I always say that when someone comes through Fort Walton Machining the first time, they often make a comment, "Jesus, this place is so clean you could almost eat off the floor." It's not your typical precision machine operation that people had thought about in the past.
Right.
It's a great looking organization too. Well, let's talk a little bit about the recent trip we celebrated with thousands of other companies and individuals, the 50th anniversary of the Paris Air Show and La Bourget. Greg and I traveled together. We had appointments together, and it was a great experience. It was, what I think was unique, and I've told you this before, is having a manufacturer with me when I'm making calls in some of these major mega aerospace and aviation companies. I can't tell you how beneficial that was to us.
Well, thank you. No, it was a good time. I enjoyed sitting in on those meetings, and I learned a lot from you, from just doing the Florida's Great Northwest, all the counties you cover, and how you did the business development to try to bring companies into Northwest Florida and the Panhandle. And I was, like I say, you do a great job at that.
Well, thank you. Well, I was impressed also with your knowledge and working with some of these companies, and when they asked those particular questions about the manufacturing, precision work, and the qualifications, certifications, you had all those. And they when you look at some of those companies that have thousands of employees and their names are household names in the industry, I think they were impressed with you as well. So Again, I'd like to do that again in other shows as well. But what was different about, you've been to other trade shows, what was different about the Paris Air Show that you saw as you made your calls throughout that week?
Well, the Paris Air Show, it sets the bar for the air shows in the industry. One of the things that was my first time over there, but one of the things I recognized is you always hear how big that show is and how many people are there and how all the different aircrafts that are there and such. And until you really go experience it, you really don't understand it. And one of the things that I really became aware of, just because of a few of the meetings, I had 10 meetings set up before I left the United States. And when we were a 70, 80 man shop, we went to AMCONs, design to part shows and things like that. And that's where your inventors would kind of come through, and it did us well when we were 70, 80 employees. Now we're 220 employees. It's you got to get up there with the big boys and meet with the big boys. And every meeting I had, there was a CEO there or a VP of procurement, so you had the decision makers at the table that could make the decision whether you're going to be a supplier or you're not going to be a supplier. It also put a lot of pressure on you, though. Sure. To be honest with you, I mean, you had to have you had to be on your game.
Yeah. Well, you're right, and that is the distinction right there of the show like the Paris Air Show or Farnborough Air Show in London, is that you get in front of the CEO of the company, and that same CEO, whether they're U.S. based or based somewhere else in the world, you probably would have a difficult time getting an appointment with them in their headquarter office. But at that show, you have access to them. So, I think that I'd like to take just a second to explain to the public. They think, oh, Paris, from your perspective, just explain briefly from the time you leave your hotel how you get to that show. I think that's an eye-opening experience.
It sure is. Well, the first day, we took the train, and we always took the train there, of course, but I don't think all the logistics were worked out the first day. I think they were even shocked about how many people showed up there, but we actually transferred to two different trains. Once we got to Embraer-Empresa, we got on a bus, and what was the first day, an hour and a half bus ride there, I think it was.
An hour and a half, yeah.
And no air conditioning in any of those, in the train
standing.
or the bus, and you're standing the whole time. And then by the time you get to the show, I mean, you got a lot of walking to do there, so it's a pretty tiring day.
Yeah, it's a long day. You're spending, almost 2 hours each way, plus you get there early, and then you go through your appointments, and the show's so huge, you do a lot of walking. But it's worth it because of who you're able to get in front of and sell your product, sell your company, and try to generate some business too.
Absolutely.
So for Fort Walton Machining, was it a trip you think you'll return to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we got to do that trip every other year. Of course, Paris is only every 2 years, right? So every other year we'll do that show. Absolutely. We had 6 great meetings there, in my opinion, that could bring business to Fort Walton Machining in the near future. Yeah,
we had, I think I counted 17 appointments that I had, including yours. And again, we had a small group there, so working with the state of Florida, Enterprise Florida was a real benefit as well, because they helped us with understanding how they were marketing. The governor was there, having the top marketing man for the state available makes a difference for your state when you're marketing it in another country, especially. I want to ask you something about manufacturing in general, and I think it relates to the show or any of the shows that we do, particularly in aviation aerospace. Do you see a surge taking place in the South and maybe in Okaloosa County and Northwest Florida in manufacturing growth?
I do, and I think that's going to happen naturally from a couple reasons. One, with Boeing being in Charleston, South Carolina, and then Airbus being in Mobile, we're on that western boundary, I believe, for some great things to happen. We're far enough away from Mobile that the labor pool we're going to draw from will be different than that labor pool that Airbus will draw from, or their suppliers possibly that would move over from Europe. But I think that as we see the growth in the future with Governor Scott's, drive for manufacturing, and, I had a conversation with him the other day, and he was talking about, manufacturing or aerospace in the state of Florida, we're one of the top in the country, and we're not really known for that, and he's trying to make sure that everybody knows that. But I think that I-10 corridor, as I call it, from Charleston to Mobile, will start to develop as an aerospace corridor.
I believe you are right. Florida's Great Northwest is focusing on that. When we looked at the map with in Charleston with Boeing, Embraer in Jacksonville, and of course Airbus in Mobile, Alabama. If you take the eastern end of the 16-county region and put a dot from Tallahassee to Charleston, the distance from Charleston to Tallahassee is the same distance from Tallahassee to Mobile, Alabama. So we figured that makes a lot of sense for us for marketing, because these suppliers, as we learned, whether they're Boeing, Airbus, or Embraer, they use basically the same suppliers. So you could market on a larger scale to try to locate some of these suppliers in your backyard. And I think because your operation is not a typical precision machine operation because of your size, because you have a lot more to offer, I think that gives you quite an advantage probably in this region.
I think you're right. Yeah. One of the things that I heard when I was over at the show was, we're looking for world-class suppliers that are vertically integrated. And, I think that world-class to me means you deliver on time, you deliver a good quality product, and you communicate to the customer, over-communicate to the customer where you're at and what you're doing. But to top that off, if you look at it from a standpoint of vertical integration, what I mean by that is if I order a piece of raw material from a AMI or a company out there that supplies material to us, we take that piece of raw material and we take it through the whole manufacturing process, including the finishing, chem film, primes, the paints, and we ship it out the door to the customer. It never leaves our facility. And they're looking for that now, because if it doesn't leave your house, you own it. And I think they're looking for somebody to own the whole process.
How important to these international suppliers is having those certifications, the ISO certifications? I mean, that seems to be brought up quite a bit.
Yeah, if you're not AS 9100 today, you're not going to have business from the primes. You're just not going to do it. NADCAP approvals, you have to have those for your special processes like our metal finishing division. We struggled with that, to be honest with you, when we brought our metal finishing division up online. We were hoping, it's kind of the chicken or the egg thing, we were hoping that we could get some of our prime customers to come on board and start feeding that work to where we had the history to get that NADCAP certification. Without history, you can't get NADCAP, but without NADCAP, you can't get the history. Right, so it's very difficult today.
What about the, I've heard this often now, the 5-axis. A lot of the suppliers, particularly Airbus suppliers, that was a prerequisite for them to consider if they're going to have you as one of their suppliers. What is 5-axis?
Well, 5-axis machine is 5-axis machine. The machine moves in 5 different axes to machine a complex part, and all those axes move simultaneously. If you look at the aircraft history, I'll just pick the C-130 because we do a lot of C-130 work. It was a lot of sheet metal and bending and rolling of sheet metal. And today, if you go look at the F-35, as we do a lot of parts for the F-35 as well, it's more you hog it out of a solid build of stock, and you make a complex surface that is, has to be done on a 5-axis machining center with precision. So you can't really set that part up 3 or 4 times and get the precision you need. Where in a 5-axis, you can set it up maybe once or probably twice, but you got to get the back side of it. But those complex shapes that the F-35 have on them today versus just the round shape of a C-130 makes 5-axis needed.
How many companies would you say in our area have that capability?
I think the only 2 companies in our area that would have that capability is us and L3. And I think L3 has 1 machining center that's 5-axis, and don't quote me on that, but I think it's 1, and then we have 16.
So that's an advantage.
Absolutely.
To promote that. Well, let's talk about another. You're a busy man, so we're going to talk about this new Northwest Florida Manufacturing Council that you are chair of. You're the first chair for this, and just a little background for our audience. This is something that was the brainchild of Stan Connerly from Gulf Power and Ellen Benz, former Speaker of the House. And they came together very quickly and brought together a host of manufacturers, the workforce boards, some EDOs, as well as the colleges and universities from the region to form this console. And boom, within about 3.5 months, we're moving forward to structuring it for these manufacturers. What is it about?
Well, it's about trying to, right now, to drive a talent supply pipeline for manufacturing. That's the biggest mantra of the council right now. There's some networking there, and we'll tie some things together like TechMan and Florida's Great Northwest. We'll all tie that together. But one thing I want to say, I was really excited to be a part of the task force group. We had a lot of great people on that task force, and what I was excited about is we had all aspects of people there at that table.
Yeah,
I mean, from the EDC, EDOs, Florida's Great Northwest was there, and K through 12, the colleges and technical colleges and manufacturers were all there and came together and decided we're going to develop this council. So the council moving forward, we're going to work with those colleges and manufacturers and develop programs for our kids here locally that will start driving manufacturing talent into our area. One thing we've missed is the vocational type training. We missed that boat as a nation, really. I mean, everybody's having that problem. Even the world are having the problem. Manufacturing, I think the last time we developed a program here in Northwest Florida was like in the mid-'80s, late 80s, something like that. The last person we put through an educational vocation from a manufacturing standpoint. But today, manufacturing's come so far. Like you said, it's 5-axis, very technical. You have to have STEM. Machines cost $400,000 or $500,000. You have to have somebody you put in front of that machine that knows how to run it, knows their math, can think ahead of that machine, knows computers. And so that's what we're going to drive. We're going to drive a talent supply pipeline there. We've already got one high school already on board. They're starting their first CPT training.
Excellent.
In Northview High School in Escambia County. And what's exciting is Choice Institute here in Fort Walton Beach will be the second one the following year. So that's the mantra.
I'm amazed at sitting in those meetings. Like you said, you had the diversity of manufacturers. Some were aerospace, some were dealing with the shipping industry. No relationship in terms of what you really do. But to find that there was a common need for certain type occupations, I thought that was eye-opening for everybody in that room. When you got to understand better some of the other manufacturers in this region, and for the first time, I think this whole group of manufacturers saw that there was an identity that they could all share in terms of getting some programs that could help all of them. We always thought that you had to look at aerospace and you had to look at information technology and life sciences and all differently, but I guess with what you're going to do with this console is get everybody, if they need certain training, they can't find it here, that provide that specialized training, whether you're an existing company or a company that's looking to be recruited into the area.
Right.
That's a heck of a jump to in the right direction for our area, I think.
I agree 100%. I think that it'll benefit the manufacturers here, but it'll also benefit the EDOs as well.
Absolutely. Yesterday, the governor was talking about that working with a company from this area that could only find out of the 10, let's say 100 people they needed, they could only find 20% of them from Florida people. The other 80% they had to recruit from outside the area. Your console should be able to help overcome that problem so that these people will be trained. And I also want to ask you about the another aspect of your console there, but that's in itself is going to be a better marketing program for the state of Florida, for Northwest Florida, in terms of saying, hey, if you're a manufacturer, we can provide you all the labor that you need with the training skills that you're looking for.
That's correct.
So,
And we got a lot of talent to pull from. I mean, with the
Yeah.
military here,
yeah,
and, the retired military, they want to stay in this area. They love it.
Yeah.
But if they can't find jobs in the area, they're going to have to move away.
well, we've been talking to the state Department of Economic Opportunity, Dale. They have a new director there, and I talked to him, and he's going to help us with that. He's going to help you and your
Right.
council with that in terms of bringing in the military and trying to identify those transitioning men and women, what their skills are, and a timeline that will be beneficial for them to know if there's a job available for them, and there's just some additional training that's going to be needed for that. So, but I also want to talk about in your council, I know that the colleges and universities talked about having centers. I don't know if they'll call them centers of excellence or what, that will do the training in this region, perhaps in Bay County, Oakland County, and Escambia County, and so that when there are needs from a company, existing or new one, for training immediately, these centers will provide that specialized training for them. Is that on track?
That's on track. We haven't decided exactly how we're going to do all this yet, but there's a lot of ideas out there. There's a lot of motivation from the colleges. I'm getting calls already. Have got money set aside. What can we do to help?
Good.
And that's a good sign, right? They're ready to go. Will there be mobile labs? Will there be centers of excellence that are permanent? The last thought we had was maybe something more mobile, so we can cover the 16 county region.
Yeah. People perhaps may ask, well, why are we focusing so much on manufacturing today? Because it's coming back here. It went away for a while. Now it's coming back to this country, and it's coming back strong, as I said, in the Southeast and in Florida, and especially in Northwest Florida, because a lot of it has to do with the military and the companies that they've contracted with to do a lot of that work, like yourself. Do you see a significant amount of impact from manufacturing in terms of comparing it to other type industries?
Well, I think the number's like 15,000 people are employed in manufacturing here in the Northwest Florida. I think that's what Dr. Rod Stewart or Lewis had said. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I believe that from the growth Fort Walton Machining will see, the growth that L3 is talking about having up there, I think that's going to be a pretty huge factor already. But yeah, I see that manufacturing coming back. I mean, I know GE's pulling stuff out of Mexico and putting it back in the United States, and you're hearing a lot more of that is going on. And I think what's happened is we've gotten so high tech in manufacturing, hence why we need the skill set we need. It's just a different world today, and we've become more competitive because of the technology we have. So I think we're going to see that grow pretty tremendously, and with Governor Scott's motivation to make manufacturing his number one.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to have the governor as our key marketing person out there, saying, "Hey, Florida, this is Florida's going to be the number one business climate. We're almost there right now, and manufacturing is our focus." And we have time for maybe just one more topic, and I wanted to focus on we did the manufacturing, but the Fort Walton Machining is diversified, and people talk about diversification today. What is your definition of strengthening a local economy through diversification? Is it what Fort Walton Machining is doing in terms of going to other industry sectors like the oil industry? I mean, is that where you see diversification taking place?
Yeah, I see it taking place just like Fort Walton Machining. We'll take the company Fort Walton Machining. We'd already kind of talked about what we diversified into. Yeah. Now we can talk about the economy. Tourism is booming here, but when you have an oil spill, it declines. Military is booming here. If you have sequestration, it declines. Yeah. So you need something else to help stimulate the economy for Northwest Florida. And manufacturing and aerospace is perfect I mean, you've got the military already here. You got Airbus that's coming to Mobile. You know, I believe that no matter what kind of manufacturing it is, it's a good thing to put into this area, and we've got a lot of talent here that we can train to support that. So, you know, when you go out and do your sales pitch, you know, you can say, hey, you know, we've got X number of military that retire, X number of schools that are getting out of, or kids getting out of high school, and you know, they're being trained up for manufacturing, a certain percentage of them. It's a good tool for you.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, and we probably didn't spend enough time, we'll do it the next time, on the commercialization of aerospace and aviation industry and its growth around the world, and how it's going to impact us, but also the fact that that in itself is diversification for this area, that Airbus is a commercial product, the A320. So, you know, your company, Fort Walton Machining, L3 have already taken advantage of that. Governor's helped, Enterprise Florida's helped, Great Northwest is helping.
Absolutely.
And it's a great a blend, I think, to make it work. We just need to, I guess what the governor says is, make sure that you tell all your employees what a great business climate exists in the state of Florida today, because even though you know it, your employees may not understand it from the same level that you're understanding it. So I think that's good. That's a good lesson, and I'm going to tell my employee that.
Yeah.
Well, we've enjoyed this. Greg, thank you so much. Greg Britton, CEO of Fort Walton Machining. Great to have you on the show again.
Thanks,
Great
Larry.
traveling with you. And I've learned a lot, and I hope to learn a lot more as we continue to work together. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Your host, Larry Sassano, Florida's Great Northwest. Thanks for joining us today, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.